The alarm clock blared. 5 a.m. Thomas the baker yawned and stretched. He loved his job, loved the feel of dough between his fingers, but more than anything, he loved the dream he held close. One day he would open a bakery, his bakery, filled with warmth and the smell of fresh bread. He could almost taste the sweetness of success. He pulled himself out of bed and went to the window. The sun was a promise on the horizon. It was a new day, a day to chase dreams. He took a deep breath and smiled. He knew deep in his heart that he was getting closer. With every sunrise, with every loaf of bread he baked, he was one step closer. Across town, Emily woke up to the sound of her violin. Not a real sound, but the echo of it in her dreams. She was a waitress, yes, but in her heart she was a musician. She yearned to play on a grand stage, her music soaring, touching the souls of everyone listening. Her fingers itched to feel the smooth wood, to draw the bow across the strings, but for now the coffee shop beckoned. Real life intruded on her dreams. But even as she poured coffee, she hummed. Her melodies, her own private symphony filling the space between her heart and the world. Meanwhile, in a small cluttered studio, Daniel, the painter, stared at his blank canvas. He dreamed of colours, of emotions splashed across a canvas for all to see. He wanted to share his soul, his perspective, through the strokes of his brush. He dipped his brush in blue, then green, then a splash of red. His heart beat faster. This was it. This was his moment. This was how he would show the world what he saw, what he felt. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and began to paint. He didn't need anyone's approval. He painted for himself, for the joy of creation. Later that morning, their paths crossed at Emily's coffee shop. Thomas, taking a break from the bakery, sat at a table, his notebook open, sketching out ideas for his bakery. Emily, her waitress apron tied tight, poured him a cup of coffee. Their eyes met briefly, a spark of recognition passing between them.
Busy morning?
Emily asked, her voice weary but kind.
Trying to get some work done.
Thomas nodded, a shy smile touching his lips, and gestured to his notebook.
What kind of work?
Emily's eyes lit up, her curiosity piqued. Thomas hesitated, then showed her his sketches. Emily gasped.
You're going to open a bakery? She breathed, her eyes wide with admiration.
He nodded, his cheeks flushing with a mixture of pride and embarrassment.
It's my dream, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper.
Emily smiled.
That's amazing, she said. I have a dream too, she confessed, her fingers unconsciously tracing the outline of her violin case, leaning against the counter. I'm a musician.
A connection sparked between them, a shared understanding of dreams cherished and pursued. That evening, the community centre buzzed with anticipation. It was open mic night, a chance for local artists to share their talents. Thomas sat in the audience, his heart pounding. He had never shared his dream with anyone, not like this. Emily adjusted her violin, her fingers trembling slightly, and then she saw him. Daniel, the painter from the coffee shop, stood near the back, his eyes filled with a familiar longing. Their eyes met, and a silent acknowledgement passed between them. They were all here, brought together by an invisible thread of shared aspirations. The first few performers came and went. Then it was Thomas's turn. He walked onto the stage, his knees shaking, his notebook clutched in his sweaty hands. He looked out at the expectant faces, and his heart sank. But then he saw Emily, her eyes filled with encouragement, and next to her Daniel, nodding his head in support. He took a deep breath and began to speak. He spoke of his love for baking, his dream of opening his own bakery, his hope for the future. His voice, shaky at first, grew stronger with each word. After Thomas's heartfelt speech, Emily took the stage. The spotlight found her, illuminating her nervous smile. She tucked her violin under her chin, her fingers finding the familiar positions on the strings, and then she played. Her music soared, filling the room with longing and hope. She played of dreams realized and dreams yet to come. She played of the shared human experience, of the beauty that can be found in the most ordinary of days. Her music wove a tapestry of emotion, captivating the audience, drawing them into her world. As Emily finished her last note, the applause washed over her. She left the stage, her heart soaring. Daniel was up next. He approached the easel, his canvas blank, a single spotlight illuminating his focused face. He picked up his brush, dipped it in paint, and began to move. With each stroke, he breathed life onto the canvas. Colours swirled and danced, capturing the energy of the night, the shared dreams of the artists, the feeling of connection that pulsed through the room. When he finally stepped back, the canvas held not just a painting, but a reflection of their collective spirit. As the night drew to a close, Thomas, Emily and Daniel stood together, their hearts full. They had come to the open mic night as strangers, each carrying their own hopes and fears. But they left as something more, connected by their shared vulnerability, their courage to pursue their dreams, their belief in the power of art to unite. They had inspired each other, they had inspired the audience, and in that shared space, in that symphony of their shared journey, they found a strength they didn't know they possessed. The ordinary had become extraordinary, not because of grand gestures, but because of the simple act of sharing their truths, their passions, their dreams with the world. And in that sharing, they found not just their own voices, but a chorus of support, a community of kindred spirits, and a renewed belief in the power of dreams to light the way.